Cheers, guys.
The boys.
For the boys.
All right. Welcome back to another Board with the Boys podcast. Today we're doing a Fireside podcast, and I'm here with my boys. We are together again, reunited like Voltron. Bam!
We can properly announce ourselves in the proper order, too.
Yeah,
we're
instead
not
of-
just pointing.
yeah, no
imaginary
squares.
All right, start on the outside. Who we got?
we got Christian here, you know.
Brian.
Scott.
And Tim
We're right here
Yeah.
just relaxing,
in the
Yeah.
flesh.
chilling with our Down East strawberry flavor.
Yeah, it's delicious. But yeah, I mean, we've been doing this Board with the Boys thing for about a year now, and we had a lot of promises in our our original podcast of doing quite a few things. I mean, we promised to play some games. We have done that, but we've basically spent a year
Behind
playing
the
games behind a computer screen.
Our screens are our homes.
Yeah, we basically lived behind the computer screens for both the podcast and the games, and it's been fun. But we basically promised we'd be doing board games, be doing in real life stuff, some IRL stuff, and I mean obviously COVID has been a thing, but I think we've slowly realized that as adults our expectations for things shift over time, and we've had to kind of adapt. It's been fun, but I think it'll be an interesting topic now that we're like finally together doing a real podcast in real life.
The hardest thing to get is everybody's schedules to line up, you know? I mean, like this whole month of July, everybody was busy at least one weekend.
Yeah.
So we weren't even able to, like, I was, in Miami, he was camping, he was camping, Christian was doing something.
I was by myself at home.
Christian's always by himself at home. Hey, he's busy. He's doing something.
It was just ridiculous, and now we're finally here.
Yeah, we got kids. We got people working overtime. Some people working overtime.
But
no names. But scheduling has just been awful. But I think it'd be like an interesting topic just to kind of go through, like, as adults, what has changed in your perspective from when you were like a kid? So everyone, when they're a kid, they have like dreams of growing up, doing a certain thing, buying a certain thing, or living a certain lifestyle. And not that any of us aren't happy, but I feel like our vision of ourselves has changed so much over time. So it's like,
Sure.
so I guess, easy thing to start with is like, your job. So like, what was everyone as they were growing up, like from young until like even like high school, like what was your, like, what did you envision you guys were, probably before high school, 'cause I know high school everyone's kind of starting to take directions, I guess.
So
Like, what was everyone thinking they were going to do for like their living?
I'll start my journey up at like the end of middle school, kind of like where you choose what high school you want to go to. For me, it was either where I'm from, Lowell High or Greater Lowell Tech, and I chose Greater Lowell Tech not really for any reason, but it's more of like a trade school. So,
Yeah, I went there too.
me too.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I did.
Long
No,
story
I didn't.
short, you basically, I didn't really know what I was going to be, but I knew I wanted to have something to do in like some sort of physical trade, outdoors most of the time.
So you always thought you were going to be like doing like blue collar type work? Like,
Yeah.
doing, like hands-on work?
I didn't really think I was gonna, no offense to you, Scott, but I didn't think I was gonna sit behind like a computer screen. Or,
Oh, yeah, tell me, I feel that now. But so what's the reasoning? So that's always kind of interesting because he mentioned that because I'm in like what they call white collar, which is like sitting in a cubicle or now basically working remote behind a computer screen, doing basically for the most part mindless work. I mean, yeah, you like have to do thought provoking stuff sometimes, but I'm just sitting in a computer all day, basically killing myself. But like I don't talk to blue collar people during the day, so we're all complaining about the same things at my work. What's your train of thought when thinking of that? Like, what makes you not want to do that style of work? Is it like it's boring? You don't think it's fulfilling? Is it like what you saw your parents doing growing up? Like how does that?
So
how do you get into that mindset?
my dad actually was an IT guy. He worked for
Oh, I didn't know.
CompuCom. Before that, it was T-Tronics at the Wang Towers.
Oh, that's cool.
And I was like,
So you saw that type of world.
so I was like sick a couple times. He had to pick me up from school and bring me to his work. And like I just didn't want to do that because I don't know if it was because I was sick and miserable anyways,
I don't want to be here.
or like I just saw him doing his job.
And it just looked boring.
It looked like
I
a sec.
just-
That's like a perfect answer though. Like, you got to experience it to some degree, and you're like, I don't like that.
And another thing too is I just don't think I have like, I don't know if it's the attention span or the patience or just
Kinda
the
sit still.
ability to sit in a cubicle or sit in one spot for 8 hours plus
I
a day.
get that.
Yeah.
I get that.
But I mean, on the other end, it's like, so I chose out of my three top lists in the trade school, I chose plumbing, carpentry, and electrical. Right away, I got into the plumbing side, so now I'm a plumber. And I honestly had no idea what I was going to be when I went to Great Little Tech.
Yeah.
I just kind of knew I wanted to do something physical, or more on the physical side. But now, I mean, going through high school, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, advancing in like the trade and learning more about plumbing and just construction in general, I think it's kind of like the right path for me. The money's good. I mean, I didn't really plan it, but here I am.
All right, life's perfect. Let's go into that.
That was way too good of an answer for my
that was
answer.
like shit. That was like the perfect.
You should have went
answer.
last because I don't think any of the other ones are gonna be like good.
No,
Oh, yeah,
that's really good. But like before, I want to go like another part of
I
that.
did not prep that.
No, I mean that honestly, that's like as perfect of an
That was
answer as we
good.
can get. But yeah, like before we go to like the next part of that, like I want everyone to go. So going like, as young as you can remember into like just about high school, like what did you see yourself kind of doing?
Well, I was young. My family wasn't great with their jobs. I didn't even know what they did. I know they just stuck around.
I can see that.
Yeah, I see them going to work every day. I think they were doing something like production lines of some sorts.
Yeah.
But I always visioned myself around something fun, loving, and like something that I wanted to do was video games, and that was my
Like what
main
specifically? Were you like I wanna be a
program.
tester, I wanna be a-
Well, it was first because I was a kid. The first thing in your mind, you don't know exactly what other positions they have, like program designer or like coding and stuff like that.
Streaming for a living.
Yeah. Well, they didn't have
Who would've
streaming.
thought
Yeah,
that?
that's
no,
what I
no.
think back then.
Back in the
Like I want
Yeah.
to play video games for a living, but yeah, we'll talk about that after.
So like back then, it wasn't as much of a thing back then because video game designers weren't big then, and then how it is now.
Yeah.
So we only had the basics, like just learning how to like use a computer and like they did have softwares like Unreal Engine and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But getting back to where I was, I wanted to do something that I loved, and that was video game designing. So I didn't know that I had to go to college for that and stuff like that. But I didn't have the money because my parents didn't have enough money to go through to college. So I had to find different routes. So I just went for like more of an easier job. So when I went to the Voc, I went for machine tech. Well, I had different options. I don't want to get into those ones
But you
because
chose machining.
I chose machining. That was
because you liked it.
it was something my brother went for, and I.
Influence that plays a big part.
Yeah,
guys.
it's-
That's interesting.
But after a while, I didn't really want to do that. I just wanted to do something more of something more with like electronics.
Yeah.
What I did do in the beginning a little bit of, but I didn't do as much because it was all math and stuff. Because you were in it too. That's how we
You
met.
know, like math. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
So
Yeah, we met. For those who, I
Yeah.
think we talked about before. We met in freshman year of high school.
Yeah.
So.
we were big on Yu-Gi-Oh. That was a big
Love
thing.
Yu-Gi-Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
We were hard of the cards and stuff. We just throwing down.
The card and stuff.
But anyways, yeah. After that, I just worked my way up, and then I actually got a job in what I do, which I can't say, but I do like electrical boards and stuff like that, which is pretty fun. And
So would you say that you're like where you thought you would be, or you kind of like are in a path that
I
just
am
worked in your scenario?
Well, right now, being in where I am right now with soldering and stuff, it's kind of a good concept around what I want to do. Is like I do want to like build stuff.
Like make stuff.
Yeah, like consoles
something.
or like PC software and stuff like that. I just like being around something I can build,
Yeah.
like
I
on
get
my own hands. But it's close enough to where I am.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, that's like all like super good answers. I'll be honest, I wasn't expecting like.
I know.
So I didn't
far-
want to. I wanted to bring
No,
the whole
that's like-
story.
no,
in.
but it's like-
I was trying to cut pieces.
That's what I wanted to talk about because it's like.
Yeah.
Like a big thing that like obviously you guys already talked. It's like influence is like a huge part of it. Like you like saw your dad, like he saw his brother and like what his family was doing, and then you have like your personal interests. You gotta like tie in like what you think you know, and then what you kind of like know yourself, what you kind of like. So I guess I'll go next. So I mean, growing up, I was always like, I was like super into video games, but I was never like super into computers. Like I certainly dabbled when I was started getting a little older, but I was always into like art and like drawing and like designing and stuff like that. So as I got older, I was always like, oh, I want to like do like video game like design, like character design or like level design, and like I was like super into that in like middle school, like when like old school like PS2 games. I'm like, man, I would like try to draw characters from the video games, and like
Even anime was a big thing too.
yeah, I try to like draw anime and like Final Fantasy characters, and like all the inspiration for like the things I like to draw were all like video game inspired, and I was like, oh, I definitely want to do like some sort of like video game development. And I never like as a kid, you don't like think too much of like your like future, but you just like oh, like you think you have so much time, you know what I mean? Like you go to school, like eventually I'll just get some massive job and work at like a video game company, and be at a desk and.
But I feel like when you're a little bit younger, you don't necessarily know what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
So I feel like you're kind of like in the back of your head, your brain's already kind of pushing you to whatever you like, so you're gonna lean.
Whatever you're into. So it's like
You want to be an astronaut or something like that.
yeah. I mean, when you're really
Something
young,
like
you want like these grandiose things, which is perfect. Like you should definitely instill that in your kids to like be like the best version that they can. Obviously, like everyone has their interests, but like as like time went on, I guess. Like my dad was like a blue collar worker, like he works on like cars and stuff like that. So like I always saw like the blue collar life, and to me that was like, man, like he was always like super hard work, and he would be like so tired and exhausted. And it was like he's like doing good. He's like being able to stay physically in shape by doing work, like doing something with his hands. But I was like, like that just seems like really rough. I was like, I feel like I could do more interests like on a computer, like on a drawing pad. So like I kind of like the opposite experience.
I was
like,
just
what
about
you
to say opposite.
So it's kind of interesting in that sense, because I feel like if I was in your circumstance, we might be like in opposite spots, because it's like a different influence from growing up. But then, like getting into high school, I started taking like graphic arts and stuff and like digital design when I was in the vocational school, and like I really liked it. But then, like when I started getting to that like more advanced level, I realized like I wasn't nearly to the point where I thought I was. Like, there was people just so dramatically more better than I was.
This thing, like the stuff that we did when we were younger, it was so hard to get into. And
That's
now
the thing,
it's like we're older, and then we can get into it more now than what we could get it when we were younger.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot. Yeah, I mean, social media and internet and stuff. I mean, it was certainly we grew up in that era. But like, yeah, I mean, as I started like getting around more like-minded people, I realized like, oh, if I were to like have to compete for this, I wouldn't win. And that like super turned me off. Like everyone wants to like be super good at what they want to do. So like kind of in that time period, I started like super getting into more like computers and like, messing around computers, programming and stuff. And like out of high school into college and stuff, I kind of like super chased that. And I mean, I still kind of do that to a degree now, but I'm definitely feeling like I'm at the point where I was like, man, I almost would rather like go switch and do like some blue collar job, because like some days just sitting on the computer. And I guess it depends on what you do. Like I do what I want to do skill wise, but I'm not working where I should be, I guess.
You're not doing what you want to do for who you want to do it for.
Yeah, I'm using the skills I want, but I'm not doing it for the right reason, for the right company. And after so long, especially like as you get older, it's like that's super hard to like think about and deal with, because it's like what do you do? Like it's so hard to restart and stuff like that. But like
so long.
But they can just like beat you down too. Like if it's so repetitive and you deal with like shit people, and
and it's.
I know you complain all the time about the people you deal with.
And it's like
It's everywhere.
it stinks because of like the job it is. And it's like, oh, you get paid well, you do this, you're sitting at a computer, but it's like you just deal with a different level of things. It's like, yeah, you're not physically tired, but you just have to deal with some awful like emotional things. But I mean, as far as like expectation wise, I guess I kind of followed what I thought, but I just definitely didn't end up where I was heading to. Like I think I'm in the realm, but I just kind of didn't quite make it there. And the reason for that, I mean, I guess it's like life. Like you get a girlfriend, you want to buy a house, and you got to kind of you follow the money to some degree. Then Inspire's so fucking crap. But I mean, I think that's part of everyone's story. Is like you do follow the money to a certain degree, and growing up, you're not really dealing with that, which we can certainly get into. But you don't really deal with the idea of like being responsible for bills and like all of that kind of stuff. So I think that played a huge like factor for me. But as far as like job wise, that's like kind of how I went through. So You guys can't see it, but man, this fire is so hot.
Yeah, the wind is blowing the
wind
hot
switches,
air right
it's
in
just
our face.
directly at
It's just
Scott
ripping
and I.
right at us. But Tim, I guess we'll leave it up to you.
I mean, I don't know.
The
if
youngest of
mine's
the crowd,
gonna be-
right? No, you guys
No,
are the
it's
same.
me.
Nah, I'm
Alright,
older by a
like
few
5
months.
months.
Alright, so
I mean, I don't know if
alternate
mine's
expected. We'll give it. We'll give
gonna
Tim the
be
stage.
as exciting as everyone else's.
We'll give
but-
Tim the stage.
I mean, for as far as I can remember, pretty much I always wanted to become a police officer, just for the longest time. I remember like in like I don't know, kindergarten or whatever it is, or when you write down, when you want to be when you grow up, it was always a police officer, just as far as I can remember.
So before you start, why do you think that is?
I don't know.
So you have family that's.
I mean, I had an uncle though, but I mean, I honestly I don't know. I think I don't know what it was. I just
something.
when
about
I
it,
just
so-
saw police officers, it's just like they help
Serving
people. They
people.
were
You
good.
got more of them like heroes. when
Yeah,
you were
yeah,
so
they were
young.
just they were role
Alright, I
models.
can
They
see
were
that.
they were good
As
people.
a kid, you see like the fireman, the policeman,
yeah,
and that
it
just kind of
like
stuck with
it was
you.
just one of those things. It was
I
just
can
like,
see
man,
that.
that's like kind of like not a blue collar per se, but like you're doing something actually to impact. You're not like
You're making
making a
difference.
product.
You're
Yeah,
making a
you're actually
difference,
doing something. Like it's just something of value.
Yeah.
Like an inherent value. But and I mean I followed that for as long as I remember through high school. I know when you could take kind of electives in high school, I took any like criminal justice or kind of related class like that. I went to, started at a community college where I took all of criminal justice classes and got my associates, moved on to a bigger university where I finished getting my bachelor's in a criminal justice with a like concentration in police work. Like I fully followed that forever basically.
You stuck it out more than I.
I mean,
Like your
yeah,
plan kind of
for the
followed, I
most
think,
part.
further than ours did. But that's
yes
good.
and no, because I mean like
But you
when
dipped off
I
after.
was going through school and I worked at an auto parts store for like 7 years, which paid, for school and stuff
Yeah.
and partly and whatnot. And after I graduated, I went full time in that auto parts place, and I started looking around at different police departments and stuff. I went through some of the hiring processes, and it takes a while, but
And it's like
it
did you anticipate like the difficulty of
yes
of
and
that
no.
process?
I mean, I knew it was going to be rough because obviously I know it's a tough job, and obviously they have to really investigate and weed through people. It's a lot of responsibility as a police officer, and it makes sense, and I understood that. But I don't know. I mean, it just I moved from that auto parts store to a different type of still auto parts, but now it's a different kind of section. My brother got me a job working where he works, and it was an upgrade. I got more money and whatnot, and it kind of just slowed down for me, I guess, for
Your chase for policing
like if a good opportunity still presented itself, I think I would still go with it.
today.
So I don't think it's gone, but it's definitely kind of slowed down, I guess is the way to put it.
So what was the reason? Was there even a reasoning, or was it kind of just
For me to do in the first place,
for you to
or
go through all the school, all the
well, I just knew. I mean,
because you didn't get a spot right away, right? You like apply and you
Oh,
just.
yeah,
like,
I mean,
if
I
you would have heard back on your first application, you'd be doing it, right?
possibly,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
So it
but
was almost like a chance thing. Like you weren't in control of that element.
yeah, it's tough. Like there's a lot of people that do it, and the degree part of it, you don't need a degree necessarily to get hired as a police officer,
Just
but it
helps,
puts you
yeah.
ahead of those other people. So if someone scores a little better than you on, the civil service, or if the department just has their own testing, if they get like a 90, you get like an 85, but you have like a a bachelor's degree, you may be put above them a little bit more because of that degree. So it's kind of like anything you have just helps a little bit. So, but I did
Resume
enjoy.
builder.
I honestly enjoyed the schooling as well when I went. Like I enjoyed that. That was part of it. Was when I was going through like college and stuff, taking the classes I actually wanted to take, not all like the BS they make you take. I enjoyed those classes. I did very well in those classes because I enjoyed the subjects. I like engaged with, the
Like the
class
law-
discussions and the professors,
Yeah.
and I actually enjoyed hearing a lot of the professors. Some of them were, former police officers, active police officers, or military. Or there's a lot of people that they brought in from criminal justice fields, and it was very interesting. I honestly enjoyed taking those classes. So that kind of helped me, like even push me, like, oh yeah, I still want to do this because I like this stuff. And then I don't know, it just kind of like political climate and world situations got a little
that's true.
sketchy for a little bit as well. A lot of things happening currently with that field, and I mean it's maybe turned me off a little bit, but at the same time, part of it made me like, oh, I still want to do it. Like I said,
To be one of the good ones.
yeah, exactly. And if a good
to make a
opportunity,
difference.
like
Yeah.
the thing is too, I
Positive
want to work in a good department. There are definitely like better departments out there, and I want to find one that
That's
I want
what-
to actually work at.
I was
But,
trying to get on the mustache.
I mean, I don't know. It's kind of now I'm just working at an auto parts store, which
Yeah.
I still like it. It's not bad, and like you said, it's good money. There's no reason to not like where I am, but I do sit down pretty much 8 hours a day now, and that sucks.
So you kind of you're like a white collar, blue collar kind of guy. You said
He's
said
white
that-
collar for the blue collar field.
yeah.
You're like a mix. Scott's strictly white collar. I'm strictly blue collar, and Christian's more.
He's like a sky blue collar. I'm like white, 'cause I'm like straight up in that. Oh, white, yeah. I'm in straight up like white collar world, like corporate America, as you would call it. I'm invested
Yeah.
in that. That's.
I work now. Well, I used to be my store I used to work at, auto parts store, was got big corporation, bought up a bunch of times, and partly why I left because it started getting just dumb. But where I work now is a family-owned business, has been
Yeah.
forever, and that
You like
environment
yeah,
I
you
like
got out of
better.
that area.
So I think that's why I like it better too, just because it's a more like I see the owner of the business every day. Like we work in the same building. Like I enjoy that part of it. But
Yeah, I mean, I think, you were able to kind of get out like before you kind of got sucked into the corporate America thing. I mean, the corporate America thing, again, kind of a general term. I guess it's kind of white collarish, where it's like, more so like kind of computer-based jobs, working at companies that have like thousands of people. That's kind of like what's considered like corporate America. It can be different, like different vectors, finance, marketing, whatever.
Insurance.
Yeah, so
yeah.
I think, and this is just my take on it, is that corporate America is easy to fall into like find a path into. It's hard to stand out. So if you're in a situation where you're like super comfortable in your life, you're making money that you're comfortable with. Corporate America is easy to find your place, find a path, and to just follow it.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you're like someone that's like, and not that this is just my take on it, not trying to insult anyone in that world, but like, if you're like trying to stand out or trying to like really impose like some of your ideas or
Yeah,
your
be a little bit different.
be a little bit different, a little out of the box, make some more decisions. Yeah, you can find your way, you can become different roles, but I feel like that's really hard in corporate America. And if you become like that, it kind of turns you off because you have your path and you have to follow it.
So
Um,
what kind of, I don't want to say color, but blue collar, white collar, would you say Bored at the Boys is like a YouTube kind of job is?
I mean, it's neither. It's kind of its own.
it's kind of
thing
its
now.
own thing.
The whole internet.
Yeah, I was gonna kind of go into
space
that.
Is a whole different thing.
I wanted to go into that as far as like, are the goals like elaborative? I wanted to talk about like the thing that a couple of people brought up is like the idea of like making a difference. So like that like super resonates with me now.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm like breathing in smoke it.
Well, Wendy.
The idea of making a difference like super resonates with me now. Like the idea of being a good human, making a difference in the world, being like, a role model, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel like growing up, it sounds awful, but like that never like really like hit me. And I don't really know what it was. Maybe it's like a class thing. I grew up in like, quote unquote middle class. And I can't really say it, but it's like I obviously wanted to be a good person. I wanted to do good things. Like I was never like, man, I want to grow up and like be the next Gandhi, like
Yeah.
make a big difference. Like
Yeah.
it crosses your mind, but it's like in a work wise, I never really thought about that. I guess I was like, oh, video games.
It's kind of like
very,
it's kind of like two separate things
yeah.
when you're. A kid.
I always
like,
thought of like I'm like, oh, video games, which is like super selfish. It's not making a difference. It's
Yeah.
like doing something that I found enjoyable because I like playing video games. Just sit in front of the TV. It has nothing to do with making a difference.
You're like, I want to
Um,
do what I want to do, but then over here, I also want to be a good person.
Yeah, it's like I still want to be a good person. So it's like the idea of making a difference didn't really hit me. It kind of hit me later on when it was like I started getting older and it's like I had a family and like I started seeing more of the world, which comes with the internet and social media, and you see like that there is so much bad and evil in the world. And it's like, man, like
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
the world needs people to make a difference. And it's like growing up, especially at least for me and Christian, because we are a bit older. We grew up for the most part without the internet for a lot of our lives until like the high school era, and you don't really see much. You see like you get the newspaper, you get some news. We're not watching the news growing up, you know what I mean? So you don't see a lot of that. So it's like
It's all like newspapers and stuff,
Yeah, so
whatever
it's like-
you can get around.
I feel like for like us, our dreams were more like, I guess, selfish to a degree. Like now, I feel like kids super young are like, I really want to make a difference. I want to like, be the change because they have this. So
Worldview. At a young
they have
age.
this more world view, and they can
Yeah.
see the different eye. They can see the good, the really good, and they can see the really bad, and they can kind of weigh that from now. So I feel like like I feel bad. Like, man, as growing up, like, why did I not think about that more? But I feel like it was just my worldview
Oh, for sure.
was so not limited, but was so specific to my life and my parents and
I
what
feel
we
like-
did.
I feel like when you're young, you don't necessarily think about like good and bad. I mean, you do in a way, but I feel like it doesn't really hit you
Yeah.
until you have a child or two, or maybe you just get to that
Just
age.
responsibilities or someone
That-
you care about.
Exactly,
something like
that age where you have a car to pay for, a mortgage, or like whatever it is that you have that's your responsibility. I feel like that side of life doesn't hit you until you reach that step.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I know I didn't really think about it growing up.
No.
And maybe he didn't really think about it, but just like what he said, like being a police officer, like the idea of a police officer is that it's making a difference. That's literally the idea of the police
Yeah.
officer, like enforcing the law and like
Yep.
making the difference. That is the role, which is like awesome by nature. Just like to him saying that, like, and you were like, yeah, I want to work my hands, which typically if you're doing something with your hands, you're like, you're building something, you're helping something.
Yeah,
Where it's like,
contributing to society
and then, like,
by
hearing me-
building something.
and then hearing me and Chris's story, it's like, not that it's a bad story, but it's like, it seems way more selfish. Like, video games, I want to create a computer program. And it's like, it seems so pointless in the overall factor. And now computer programs, stuff like that has a big impact
Has
on
a
the world.
purpose,
But it's like seeing our view, and I really think it's like a big internet factor.
It all
And
ties-
it's like you and your parents, like not that neither of us had bad parents by any means. It's just you get into that your realm. You know what I mean? If you're surrounded by like good things, you're like, oh, the world's pretty good.
It's
You know
the
what I mean? Like,
influence, kind of like Scott said earlier. It's you're partially influenced by your life growing up. So I feel like it sort of pushes you in a path the opposite of what you see growing up.
yeah. Like say if you grow up in like a good home, you have loving parents, and like knowing your family gets like shot or anything like that, like God forbid. But it's like, this guy's getting blasted with fire. But yeah, if you're in like a good home, you like generally see the world in a pretty positive light. Like if you go through a pretty rough child, upbringing, you can, I guess that puts you in like either a dark path or like I want to be better than what I grew up from.
Right.
But I feel like if you grow up
Bingo,
in a fairly good environment,
You're
I guess-
kind of
I guess
it's
you
kind of
kinda-
like a middle.
it's kind of the same. You can
weirdness.
kind of go like bad or good, but like you're kind of coming from neither. You're kind of coming from
Yeah,
the good
you're like
side,
a
so
middle
it's like-
ground. Yeah.
But at the
not that
same,
it's an excuse. I
No,
just feel
no,
like
no,
it's an
no.
interesting take. Like that's why I kind of wanted to do this.
Well, that's
like,
how I guess
at the same
how
time
it ends
too, though, I feel like that's only partially the story. Like influence is kind of like
Oh
half.
yeah, that's
Oh,
definitely
yeah.
just a piece of it.
And then it's more of like that specific person's like, I want to get out of this area,
Yeah, you drive and
or I
you're-
just want to feel comfortable and sit back and be like what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
It's all about the individual, whether you want to escape it or become
that's true.
your surroundings, whether it be good or bad.
Right.
I feel like that there's two sides, obviously, to every story.
I can see that. I mean, as far as like the board with the boys thing, I kind of want to talk about that. So I was gonna ask, like, all right, after everyone giving their story, like, is the dream dead? Is the dream still alive and could happen, or is the dream happening?
So right now
You know what
it's
I mean?
mostly just evolving because we're still figuring out our situation.
But I meant for
because
like for you, like, so for the
Yeah.
question first, like, based on your story, like, is your dream still alive, or is your dream kind of dead, or is it still
I-
possible? Based on what you
It-
said, like, what you were gonna expect, do you see that vision of you being not really a reality anymore, or do you see that it's still possible? Of course, anything's still possible. Preface it with that, but it's like your vision in your head. Do you see that you getting to that area one day, or you think that dream is kind of dead?
Well, I feel like this is more of like a not individually, like more of us answering it all together.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think for both the boys we can answer.
Well, yeah,
but I
I'm
think
talking about like you.
like individually,
Your-
your story, your dream of like in the
your
video
work,
game, the
your-
building. Like, do you feel like you're at a point that you've taken it as far as kind of like what you envision, and you don't think you'll ever get into like what you envision? Like, obviously, we're trying to do our own thing, but
Yeah.
like aside from that, do you ever think that you would get into that video
You,
game world?
you as yourself.
You as
rather-
yourself
Oh, I see what you're
aside,
saying.
is that dream, is like young Christian's dream dead? Which isn't a bad
So
thing.
you're saying it's like opening doors to what we want
or is
to
it
do
just
in our
change?
yeah,
Is it
or
different?
is your dream just changed? Like,
It's a tough one because
and that's
it's because like you can't. It's hard for like because what we surround what boy with the boys is like what we do, and we're still figuring out what
Yeah.
boys.
I mean, I guess-
what the boys is.
our answers put ourselves
Yeah.
really in the mix of what we're doing, what
Yeah.
we're doing in the video game realm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
like,
guess yeah.
it's gonna be. I don't know how. Like I want to know what Tim's answer
Yeah.
for this. Just
All right, we'll
because
skip me and you for now.
That's
All
the
right,
thing.
we'll
It's
do the Tim
easier.
because Tim's like the perfect example.
Yeah.
'cause Brian's kind of in it now, so like,
Yeah.
well, same question: is your
Yeah, I
dream
guess.
alive? Is your dream dead? Or is your dream like change? Like, I don't know. What's your answer to like that aspect of it?
It's
I would say it's a lot.
I wouldn't say
right?
it's dead. Because like I said, if
Because you're not doing it.
if that opportunity comes up, I think I'd still go for it. I'm not set in where I am now, and I'm not attached to where I am now. I
Yeah.
don't love it. I don't hate it. It's just the job right now. It's good. It's not bad. Or
You're
just-
there.
It's just
trying
there.
Okay, so the dream's alive.
It's still there. If I can still do it, I think I would do it. But it has like slowly evolved.
I'll say the
I
second,
guess.
So I'll give you the second part before you answer. So the dream's alive, but is that the same dream that you still have? So the young Tim's
Yeah,
dream is alive.
I think so.
But is current Tim's dream still there,
I think it's hard because like
or is it part of the dream?
it's like a dream, but I don't know if it's the dream. I still would like to experience it. It's still like I
Yeah,
want to try it, and maybe I'll love it. Maybe
That's a good
maybe
answer.
I won't even like it.
That's
You
true.
don't know until you do it.
I agree.
So that's
a good
why
answer.
I'm willing to still do it, I guess, because I want to know for sure.
Yeah.
But what I'm doing now with Board with the Boys at the same time, like
It's a new
that's
dream.
kind of a dream too,
Yeah.
and that's kind of evolved. That's kind of like manifested, I guess, in its
I like
own
that,
thing.
yeah.
And it's like if that becomes a thing, I'm gonna go for that as well. So it's kind of in this weird thing where I'm not married. I don't have kids. I don't have like all these obligations. So I'm kind of still in the middle where I
Yeah.
can go anyway.
So you're kind of in a place where it's like you don't have this one like shining star. You kind
Right.
of have like you have
Yeah.
a couple paths. Like you're
Maybe-
you're in a
right.
comfortable spot, but you have some paths that like if this works out, it's great. If
Yeah,
this works out,
I'm
it's
kind of in a
great.
gray area. Like I don't have that
Yeah.
drive
I like-
maybe that I
that's-
used.
that's nice. That's
I don't
a-
have that like
that's a good
drive
position.
that I used to become a cop.
So
Yeah.
But it's still an
It's-
option
It's an
for
option,
me.
and you still have the qualifications.
And I still,
Yeah.
if it still comes up, I still be like, all right, you know what, I can still do this. I'm gonna try it, and yeah, who knows? It's
to
still
kind
there.
of tie off of what Tim's saying, if I heard what he said correctly, his dream's not necessarily dead, but it's kind of at a point where he's like not necessarily
his priority.
yeah.
exactly. So
I'm like not actively pursuing it like 100%.
in my sort of life, I guess, I sort of kind of became
What your dream was, right?
what my dream was, and now I'm kind of like, okay, where do I go from here?
So would you? So sorry, not to cut you. So would you say that like, you've achieved? Not like it's not. I'm gonna call your dream job.
Achieve.
Again, not that it's like your dream job, but would you say that you achieved like young Brian's like dream, like your vision? Would you say that where you are now is like, aside from like I know you can become like higher in your job
Yeah.
and stuff like that, but would you say like
I would
you did what you kind of like set out to do?
I always knew. I don't want to say I always knew, but I mean,
From what
generally,
you can remember.
I feel like in the back of everybody's mind growing up, like you always want to feel like you want to be successful at least a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
You want to make
I-
some money and do good.
I feel like I've achieved that. Like I said, I'm a licensed plumber now.
Yeah.
You know, I don't really have any complaints with life, really. I mean, so like, where do I take it now? Like, do I want to maybe own my own plumbing business, or do, you know, I don't really know like what that next step is for me. I mean, Board of the Boys is awesome.
Yeah.
I want if like this is it. Like, screw the plumbing business. if we can do this, like that's it. That's the dream now.
I like that. But you have like, you're kind of in the same thing. You're kind of where
Exactly.
you where
You're
you like.
fine where you are.
You're comfortable where you are. You have growth and you have potential there. But there's like a side path that leads to like almost like an even higher goal. That's like,
Yeah.
if you can achieve that, even better. But if you don't, you're still like
Yeah,
on a
you know.
solid, super solid path.
Exactly, and if say Board of the Boys doesn't get any bigger than 70 subscribers, like,
Subscribe.
yeah,
Just hit
please.
70.
Road to 100.
You know, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
With
And
my life.
That's awesome.
I'll have the opportunity to maybe own my own plumbing business if Board with the Boys doesn't
Brian's
get.
Plumbing. Check it out. 6 years.
Yep.
I just
Well,
gave you a
fix
time
it.
point. Sorry.
So you know, I guess with that opportunity, there'll be more money involved. There'll also be more stress. But I mean, I don't know. I guess kind of that's why I wanted to tie it in with Tim's thing
Yeah.
a little bit, because we're both
Similar, yeah.
different
paths.
paths to get to where we are, but we're kind of both at the same
Point.
level, if that
Yeah.
makes any sense.
I mean, that was solid. I think without going like super far into like Board with the Boys, where it's like we've talked about it a bunch of times. We have
Yeah.
a ton of like vision for. Obviously, we're all like doing our lives, so like working with this idea of like Board with the Boys and like all the stuff we're doing, we're able to do it on the side and create that side dream, and not just like throw everything at it. Which I wish we could just do that, but obviously we're all.
Which we also talk
That's
about
kinda-
every day.
That's kind of where this conversation is. It's like, yeah, we
Yeah.
talk about it every day. It's like, oh, dude, I all just want to quit and like go full time. But as an adult, you have these responsibilities, and like you need the money, and you need some sort of stability. So I mean, we're trying to create that, obviously, but without delving too far into like our goal for Born with the Boys again, kind of going back into like the whole like expectation things. Like, what were some of like the biggest things that you just didn't envision you would encounter in life? Like, even as you started going through like high school into college, and it's like you hit a point in life where you're just like, holy crap! Like, you see online like, oh, adulting sucks, and there's a lot of good stuff. But it's like, when did you first like experience your thing? Was like, wow, like being an adult is like so freaking hard. Like, you don't realize that when you're kind of creating these dreams and stuff. Like, what kind of hit you when you grew up?
I would say mine is kind of, I don't want to say the funniest, but it's more of just like the holy shit, it's happening kind of thing.
All right, let's hear it. That's a good story.
So like, I got a girlfriend.
What?
I know this is going.
This is crazy, right? And we were dating each other for a while.
What?
Next thing you know, like, she felt sick. The classic signs of being pregnant.
You never had sex? Oh my god.
How'd the baby come in?
Like puking. I don't want to get into that, but
yeah.
And then she took a pregnancy test, and then bam, positive. Like, she's pregnant.
Bam, boss, boom.
And I was just kind of like, oh my fucking god.
Chicken came out.
I did not believe at the age of 23 that I would be having a kid.
Surprised me.
And then
Surprised me.
I was like, how'd you get baby there?
I was like, wait, what?
Somebody
Who,
told me,
Brian?
I was like, Brian?
Is
Yeah.
The same Brian?
Yeah, I was like,
I thought you had
oh.
a chicken roasted in the oven.
And they're like, yeah, bro. Like the Brian, like Brian, good. Like Brian, that was Tim's friend. Brian, that Brian. Yeah, I'm like, no, God.
I thought he was gay.
Oh my God.
All right. I mean, yeah, that's again like the perfect answer to like that. So, all right,
And
go on.
so I don't know. Now that I look at it, it's kind of funny because, like, in my eyes now, having a kid is awesome.
yeah, like your life's awesome. So
And it's like, what more do you want? Like, you love somebody so much, and a little person's like,
loves you so much back.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's I don't want anything different now. I'm glad it happened the way it did.
So, I mean, I guess it's hard to say, but it's like you would probably say that as your first like, oh, I got a girlfriend, starting to get my job, like a little bit of an adult, like getting some money, and it's like, oh, bam, like I have a kid, I have to like move out and like
You're gonna like full
yes,
force.
it's just like you just hit a wall and it's like I'm now adult.
You
I
don't have a
literally
choice.
moved out of my mom's house to living with my girlfriend in her parents' basement for 8 months, like
While she was pregnant.
while she was pregnant. But then also we lived after we had the baby in that basement for another 8 months, just so we could sort of get on our feet and like pull ourselves together as much as we could. And we bought a condo, and couldn't be any better right now, in my eyes.
Yeah, I mean, it worked out. Pretty much.
It's Christian, do you have an answer for that?
Just trying to wrap my head around everything.
I think, I don't know, my like adult realization kind of deal, I guess, is just like, not rules, I guess, but just like everything, all these like barricades, and so you gotta pay for everything, and it's like, oh, you have to do it this way, and this taxes and health insurance and this, and you have to pay for everything, and it's just like, these rules are just awful. Like
so many
these are
things
just-
you can't get around.
even my mom was just like everything's like, oh, you gotta do it this way, and I would just be kind of like, why? And well, this is dumb, and she'd be like, well, you like so rebellious against that thing. Like, these rules just seem dumb. Like, why is this ever a thing? These just
like, aren't we in control? Like,
I know,
don't we
like,
make the rules?
why do I have to like you gotta pay to exist, and just you can't have fun ever, and it's just like
Oh, man.
it was just annoying to me. And
That
it's just like,
sentence.
I know,
Can't
yeah.
exist. It's so true, but
That
man,
just-
it's brutal.
I think that kind of in my head, I was just like,
Yeah,
man, this whole system.
No, that's solid.
That, I think too. That's kind of when I was like, the money thing kind of came more into effect, because I've always wanted to like do what you like, and like your money kind of will come.
Wait a
And,
second.
but it's just like the whole kind
It's
of
impossible.
Yeah,
It's impossible.
and once you realize that, it's just like, dude, these rules are just set up so you can't. And like
Yeah,
then I
it's so
think
true.
the dream of making more money kind of came a little higher, because it's like I want to do what I want to do,
But you need money to do that.
but I don't know. I think that was my kind of.
You need money to pay for college. You need money to buy
Money,
books.
money rules the world. It's so easy. So.
And even
It's
now
not
too,
easy,
it's like
so
I'm looking.
obvious.
I'm trying to like move out. I'm looking at houses, and everything's just so expensive right now. The market is just ridiculous, and it's
So
like,
it's like, oh, I'm gonna go follow my dream.
can't
It's
even
like,
do this,
how do you
like,
do that? If
yeah.
you're gonna try to take on such a crazy expense.
yeah,
All sorts of roadblocks and all
Yeah.
sorts of different ways too.
Yeah. I guess for me, my realization was like, I kind of followed like a super like my path wasn't easy, but it was so like typical, or it was like not typical, but like
Straightforward.
straightforward, like storybook way to do
Yeah.
it. It's like went to college. Like I met my I started dating a girl in high school. I stayed with her all through high school. I went to college. I graduated college in a degree I kind of liked. I stayed with her in college, and then we got engaged. We bought a house. We moved into the house. We got married, and it's like it was just like the perfect
Like the American dream.
yeah, it was like the
quote-unquote.
American dream thing. It's like I got married to the girl that I've been dating for so long. Like I bought a house. Didn't have a white picket fence, but it's like I bought a house, and it's like
It's got a fence.
yeah, it has a fence. Fence is super crappy.
It's
but
falling
like,
down some
falling
places.
down.
But you got a garden.
So it's like I got to that point where it was like, oh wow, like not that, like it never hit me. It was like this is easy. It was just like okay, like this is what I want to do, and I achieved it. Like
this is it. It's happening right now.
yeah, like it's happening. Like I never hit like any major roadblocks. Like like college was super expensive. I worked 3 jobs to get through college. It was super hard. Like I failed a couple classes. Like there was hardships throughout. But it's like like I achieved like the dream that I was kind of going for, and then like I got the house, and the house, the marriage, and then eventually kids. Like the one thing that really hit me like really early on after marriage, after like initially bought the house is like the idea of time. Like, and that still hits me today. Like I literally want to get like a tattoo of like a freaking like something to do with time, a clock or like
Hourglass.
a hourglass like on my arm to remind myself, because like
It's not infinite.
it's you don't realize until you get to a certain point in your life like that time. I mean, we just said money rules the world. Like it does, but it's like time rules your life. Like time is everything. So it's like you can have the money and you can have everything, and like with the house specifically, it's like moved into the house. It's like, oh, this house we can do so many cool things with this house. Then it's like you never have enough time to do what you want. Like you never have time to do projects. You never have enough money to do your project. You never have time to spend it with your friends. Like you're like, oh, I'm gonna work on my marriage and stay with my relationship. You don't see any of your friends. I'm gonna go see my friend. I don't have any time to work on my house. Like, oh, I'm gonna dedicate time to work, and you don't have time for everything I just said. So it's like,
Well, yeah, you need money to work on the project, but you
Yeah.
work too much. You have the money, but then you don't have time
It's,
to
you
work
know,
on the project.
so it's like money obviously is like a huge part of that, but it's also because it's just time. You don't realize how much time you spend just doing medial things. Like
Just
it's
life.
so frustrating because when you're young, you super take it for advantage. Not that you take it for advantage, but like
Time
as
was huge
when you're
when
young.
you're
It's like you can do that, and you're like honestly supposed to. Like that's how it kind
you
of
could stay up till 4 a.m.
Yeah,
and
and that's-
play video games.
yeah, that's
with
kind of
it.
how it works. And as you get older, like I mean, obviously we all encounter that. We talk about it all the time. It's like we still waste so much time.
Yeah.
But the problem when you're older is when you waste time, you recognize it instantly, and it like hurts. It like pains you when you waste time. When you think about it after, you're like, oh, are you serious? I just like wasted a day doing absolutely nothing. Like, are you kidding me?
When you're a kid, I think it's just like, oh, there's another day. It's another day. But
Yeah.
when you're an adult, it's less of like another day as a countdown.
Yeah. As a kid, it's just kind of like life's like flying by. You're like kind of having fun. You're just making choices to like
Oh,
better your life. But like as an adult, it's like you're like, did a whole week just go by? Like,
Yeah.
oh, we have
Yeah.
some family function. Oh, I got a kid's birthday. We got a blah, blah, blah. Oh, this bill just came in. Oh, the car just broke down.
Yeah.
Oh, I just rolled my ankle at the job site. Well, hold it up for the viewers. Hey. Anyways, but I would say that's kind of like a super generalistic thing. But I feel like as an adult, when I realized how important time was, it's like a kick in the nuts.
Oh, yeah.
It like
I can agree that some like
it's rough
to some aspect because like just thinking about it now and versus when like you're a kid or you're just younger and like just like summer like school vacation, it's like that was just the best time and like you didn't care about time. Like every night it's like hanging out like
There was
when I
no
used to-
concept. It was
like,
just
it
it
was
was just
so-
a clock.
Yeah,
It was just
it
a,
was just you're going out,
But-
you hang out with your friends, and just like
I feel like-
used to skate and just like all night.
I feel like it was that way because you were living with your time. You were using your time
yeah.
to
to
live.
do what you want to do.
And that's why it felt so seamless.
I like that.
And
So
yeah.
that goes with the thing that we've talked about. I know I've definitely talked with Tim about this before. With the idea of like retirement, is like, okay, you have that fun, you live that child life, you go through your life, you go through the motions. Retirement, boom, do whatever you want, baby. You're 65
Yeah.
plus.
So
You're
you
old.
can't-
You can't walk. You're like me right now.
So it's like-
65.
But then
you
like
can't
we're talking
walk.
about it, we grew up and we were like having fun playing video games. But then like you read these stories, it's like this kid was like, oh, I did my math homework, I was grinding this programming language, I was selling lemonade, and they were just going at it, and they're like 30 and they had like $1 million, which again, super rare, much less possible than most other things in life. But it's like, oh man, like did you make the right choice growing up? Doing like having
Did you lose
fun?
your childhood?
Did you lose your childhood to sacrifice your adulthood, or vice versa? It's
I
like
feel like in that scenario, a lot of things have to break your way.
Exactly. It's super rare, but it's like
'cause,
that,
like
that's
you
still
can
a
bust your
possibility.
ass forever
And still
trying
not
to
get
be a
anywhere.
And not get
billionaire.
anywhere. Yeah,
and have nothing break your way. But you're still
Absolutely.
killing yourself every day to do what you want to be,
and
like
is that worth it?
the
You know what I mean?
richest
It's like,
person
oh, yeah.
alive, and then nothing breaks your way, and you're not a millionaire, and you're stuck making.
And you just like didn't enjoy your life
Yeah.
up to any
Yeah.
of that.
So like, what is the point where you say, I have enough money, I'm good with where like my
but never
job
that
is.
like I don't
Does
even
that ever
I couldn't
happen?
even begin to think about that, which sucks because it's like every day I'm like I'm gonna quit and somehow figure it out. And like at this point, it's like I want to be more happy than more successful. It's like I want to be successful, but it's like I feel like I'm losing my happiness in that process, and that's like it goes back to like our original conversation of like when you're a kid, you're like, man, when I'm an adult, dude, I'm gonna like
It's gonna
have a
be great.
massive TV.
It's gonna be
I'm
great.
gonna
Be
be
a
eating ice
millionaire.
cream for dinner. I'm gonna be so happy.
I think it's the biggest thing is I'm gonna do whatever I want.
Yeah,
And
it's such
that
a misconception.
quickly just
And like you can, I mean, you
to
probably
like
go
a
to
certain
jail-
degree,
you can
but
probably go to jail for half the things as a kid you think you're gonna do. But like that's been a huge thing too. Is like as a kid, I thought I was gonna be again. Not that I'm like super happy where I am, but like
yeah, no complaints
I'm, like,
really.
in my like work life and in like in other aspects, like I feel like I'm losing levels of happiness because of like the life I'm like
Sorry.
forced
Sorry.
into.
But
I don't know. It does sound bad. Like I love my family, of course.
And we're all doing good. Like
we're all doing
we're in a
good.
good place. We live in good places.
We all have like
we're-
good families.
We're
We're
nothing
like
to complain about.
we have good friends. We're able to like literally sit here and do this,
right,
which is
like
awesome.
this is awesome.
Like none of us are like depressed, and you know, if you're depressed, make sure you talk to somebody. Like shout out to anybody who's in those circumstances. But it's like it still feels like there's so many aspects. It's like I'm not choosing to do the things that I originally thought I was gonna do, and like it hits you sometimes, and it sucks. You know what I mean? Like again, the first comment we made in this podcast is like, how long we've been trying to get together, and it's like. Yeah, COVID, this and that, but it's like, oh, I got the kid this weekend. Oh, the wife's working. Oh, I got 2 kids. Oh, I got overtime. And it's like, it's so difficult to even see your closest friend. Not even like these aren't even like distant friends. Like these are like we're like best friends here. And it's so impossible to freaking hang out with people.
Yeah.
just
And
like,
it's crazy.
life hits us,
Yeah.
all 4 of us, in a different way.
different direction every time.
So you can't.
Yeah.
We're all busy, like every day basically.
In our own ways, yeah.
And like today was one of the only days in a long time.
Like all month, like a full month.
We've been planning this since like I don't know when this will come up. But we've been planning this for like 2 months. Where it was like, oh, how about in 3 weekends? It was like, oh, I'm camping.
Yeah.
Oh, the weekend after that, oh, my wife's working. How about the weekend after that?
Oh,
Oh, I'm
yeah.
camping again. After that, I got
Miami.
overtime. So it's like this was probably like 5 or 6 weeks ahead that we were looking forward to, with many like cancellations and other days that didn't work. So it's like it was crazy. I don't know. But I guess Christian give you a chance to like I don't know. Have you
Yeah,
thought of
been
like an
quiet for a while
idea?
there.
I mean, for you, I mean,
Well, the thing is, like,
when you had to move out by yourself, like it definitely hit you
that's the
then,
thing.
right?
Like, yeah, I'm looking back. Like,
You were like
I had
forced into it.
I had to start when I was in high school to think of an adult, just because of my parents and how they divorced when I was a little bit younger, and everything. Like, I had to push everything aside as a kid, and be more like my dad, and be like I have to work. I have to support the family that I have
Yeah.
at the time, my brother, and we had struggles then. So when I had the opportunity in the Voc to actually go into a shop that teaches you the way, whatever your subject is,
A skill set- a
like a skill set
yeah.
out of high school. So that's
Jumped
why
at it,
machine tech was the only like big option that I thought of, because that what I learned was like get you more money towards the end of your life, So I tried that for a bit, and then it's pretty much long stories, but like I pretty much went from job to job, learning. Like I didn't have the money to go to college. I went to a school that didn't work out, and
Yeah, I remember that.
and it was really tough because I started at a younger age to think more of an adult and work my way up to where I am right now, which I am pretty good where I am, which I have my own place and stuff like that. And I still have worries. That's what normal people have these days, but I am where I am now, and I'm.
It's like some wild animals behind us. I don't know what's going on.
But yeah, like I did.
You are where you are because of
Yeah.
what you
Yeah,
have.
like
Yeah.
Circumstance.
that's interesting because it's like, obviously you can't change what happened, but like,
Yeah.
is it good in a way that happened? Because it
Well-
gave you that experience to kind of grow up quickly and face the world, because like that's
Yeah.
the world's kind of harsh.
Yeah, because
So
I
you're
didn't
like,
want.
that you're
I
kinda
didn't.
grateful for that. Like,
Yeah, because I didn't want to like have a childish mind getting out of high school, just partying and all that
Yeah.
stuff. I was more focused on the.
Which isn't a bad
which
thing.
yeah.
like I kind of envy that in a
Yeah.
way, because I feel like I was like no complaints anywhere and stuff, but I was kind of like not sheltered, but kind of like
Yeah.
helped and guided and stuff, where I didn't have that kind of like line where okay,
Hardship. You didn't have the hard.
you need to
hardship,
you need to like not grow up necessarily, but you need to like go on your own right now. Like I still have those choices, and I kind of have that like leeway. I'm kind of safe where I am.
Yeah.
So I kind of like in a way envy it, in like you were able to like grow up and like just become an adult and just like face reality very quickly, and which is kind of like
Yeah.
good in a way.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I'm sure like there's parts of like you wish you had changed, like, but
Yeah, I mean that goes into like I say it a lot too. Is like the idea of regret, which it's so hard to control. Like regret is so like poison. It's so bad, and like all these kind of people say that online, but it's like it's so true. It's like
Yeah.
like answering your questions. Like you think back and you're like, man, what could have changed? But like even thinking about that question is so wasteful because
yeah,
like
it doesn't matter.
it doesn't bring you forward. Because then you like not necessarily you regret, but like man, at one time I wish I would have not bought this, or I would have like got that other job, or waited, or went to school further. And it's like.
Yep.
Like you're forced to think about
Yeah.
those things, and it's so hard not to. But it truly does nothing for you because like you as a person is that way because of your journey,
Right.
And like everyone has different
Yeah.
journeys, and I don't know.
It's good to look
I think
back.
about that a lot too because like there's plenty of things I've think about. And I'm like,
Yeah.
man, I wish this didn't happen. Or I wish I would have. If I would have done this, man, imagine if I would have been where I would have been. But like we just talked about, like if me and Brian had like different fathers, we literally could have been in opposite places or not even know each other, or just I could have moved to another state. So it's
Yeah.
like we all like enjoy our lives. We're generally happy. So it's like I hate thinking about it. So it's like it's a really good question, but it's like I really do hate thinking about it because it goes to the time thing. It's like, well, how can you waste time trying to change something that you can't change versus like how can I adapt now? You know
Well,
what
listen,
I mean?
it's good to look back and
Yeah.
see like
I'm not
where
trying to like
you
shit on
are-
your question, but you know
No,
what I mean?
no,
Like,
yeah,
just
yeah.
like as a topic,
no,
it's
yeah.
like
I'm just like
I think about that so much.
you don't want to go too far into it, but it's good to look back. Like, how did I get here? And kind of like what would I have changed in the sense of like going forward?
Yeah, the
what
what
do I
ifs,
want
yeah.
to do now? But not getting hung up on.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, I wish I did this rather than this is what I did. This is what I'm going to do now because of that. Not necessarily like what if,
No,
but like
absolutely, yeah.
just kind of learn from it. But
So that whole like you want to get out of high school and you can go straight to college. Like when I didn't have that opportunity, I looked towards jobs, and those jobs led to skill sets, and those skill
Yeah.
sets lead to
There
what
you
I am right now.
right.
So I had like I'm trying to think 4 or 5 jobs in my life, and I learned so much from there.
Yeah, that's
I
cool.
felt like I went to a college course.
But that's good. Yeah, like world experience.
Like I got my skill sets of like communication a lot with GameStop because I didn't really have a sense of that.
Service, yeah.
Yeah,
That
so
whole aspect
yeah,
of
the
it.
customer service skill set. Like I went in there and I honestly I thought it was just hey guys, enjoy this game. Blah, blah, blah. Like no, you really had to learn the business side of things.
That's good. 'Cause that's
as
a
well,
skill set
yeah.
you wouldn't have gotten at your
Yeah.
other jobs. You know what I mean? Like,
or even going to college, you wouldn't have
Yeah.
gotten that. It's just something you can't teach.
yeah.
So it's a long journey, but you
But
know,
that's
it's pretty
every
good.
you learn from every part of it, and you're here because of that.
But you know,
Another thing I think we all sort of share the same thought is if you, I don't want to sound, I don't know what the word is, I guess insensitive, but if you haven't made it to where you are or like what your dream is, I think we all share the same thing is like you still can get it.
Absolutely.
You still can push and just keep trying to get to where you want to be,
Yeah,
no matter what your hardships are. I mean, obviously there's some that are just totally like, well, I guess I can't really do much with that, but
well, I can say this like now it's a good advantage to do what you need to do because they give you so many opportunities now than
Yeah.
what we had
Oh
back
yeah.
then.
In today's world, there's so many
It's-
different things.
Yeah,
I mean, we talked about too with like the younger crowd chasing
Yeah.
like kind of crappy ways and stuff like that. But I feel like kind of going back to the thing of like the happiness and like your goals. It's like especially now, like me, like have a house, have family, kids, and stuff like that. I feel like if you're not chasing some level of happiness,
Just
like
something.
you're hurting yourself because it's like that. I don't know, like Will Smith said it. It was like the like you make money to buy things that you don't necessarily want to impress people that you don't really care about.
Yeah.
It's like not that we're like in the exact scenario, but it applies so much where it's
Yeah.
like when you go to buy something and you want to like fix something, you always think of like how it's perceived. Some stuff's for you, but it's like you always think of like how someone else
What is
kind
this
of looks
person going to
in.
think of me for
Yeah.
buying that nice car?
Yeah,
Or-
and like that's not happiness. That's like someone saying, "Oh, that's a really cool car." It's like, oh, man, that makes you happy. That's not like true.
It's like temporary.
It's
Well,
so-
no,
it's so-
it's pleasure, not happiness.
Yeah.
It's that phrase like money doesn't buy happiness.
Yeah, and so it's like that's what's like I don't know. That's like especially now like when I'm talking to all these different people at work, I get into all these like super crazy like high level emotional conversations at
Go in the
work
rabbit hole,
sometimes.
it's like-
Go down the rabbit hole, and it's like I always keep saying that. And it's like, yeah, like I'm shit. I'm not happy at this job. Like I won't tell my manager, but I tell all my coworkers. It's like I'll put my effort in. Like I'll earn my money that I do there. I'm not gonna like be some slow. It's like I'll work hard where I am, but it's like this is not giving me like the state of mind that I want to have. Like I don't want to like sign off of work and be so mad and like I'm trying to play with my kids and I'm just like pissed off and like then I'm like hindering them because they want to enjoy like my company and it's like I'm just not happy. So it's like there's like a line of like wanting to be successful, trying to make money, but like still like being happy in the process and like that's super hitting me. I know like a lot of us and that's kind of like
That's like how most people in the world, I think.
that's definitely most people, but it's like we kind of turn that into like this Born with the Boys idea, which we've seen other people have success with it. We're doing things we like. We're not super stepping out of our comfort zone. We're doing things we like and trying to evolve into it, which is like super round the conversation back. Is like things just aren't the same as you get older, and like you face so many more hardships than you think, and like everything is way harder than you'll ever think it's going to be. Depending, no matter what age you are, it's gonna be hard, and you have to work through it. But like I don't know, I don't know if this is supposed to be like inspirational or anything.
Trying to
but,
wrap it up with
trying to
something,
wrap it up,
something
it's like-
good.
my like I don't know, my like super thing that I'll tell anybody is like you got to chase some level of happiness, whether it's at work or it's something extracurricular, some hobby or something. It's like you got to have something that that puts a smile on your face. You can't get into a routine and hate it and expect to have the rest of your life be successful, because it's not. If you're not happy in your main routine, the rest of your life is going to suffer in the process. And that's what adulting has like taught me. That's like my major lesson I feel like I've learned is like I got sucked into this thing and I'm like chasing the dollar, and now it's like I super don't enjoy it, and it's like finding a way out it's like it gets harder every day.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that people have to deal with surrounding what they do now, and like the negativity of like people or things around them. Like don't have that in your life. Always have the things that you love or surround you, and positivity that they bring to you, instead of the people that go behind your back or like just anything negative wise. I can't really explain that more.
No, it's good.
Like,
I mean,
yeah.
not to throw another random quote out there, we
Yeah.
got super inspirational, but it's like it says like you're the average of like the 5 closest people that you spend time with. So it's like surround yourself with good people. It's like again, back to the original thing we said, like we're finally here sitting together for like the first or second time in like a year that we've been trying to do this. And like it was a motorcycle. That's like we're choosing to surround ourselves with like our really good friends, like we're best friends, and we're forcing ourselves to like make the effort to like get together, and like I don't know, this is awesome. Like I think this is super awesome. I'm like super happy like being able to do this. It's like
I think this conversation was great, just because what it is, just this in person,
it's
us hanging out.
It's so real,
Just-
and like I'm enjoying this. I hope people are enjoying this. I mean, I guess we'll wrap it up here. We don't want to go too long, but
Tim's queuing us on the time over there. So
Yeah.
All right. So as well as you guys don't know,
I may know.
well, they know if you're following our YouTube.
you know,
We do have all other social medias as well. We got our Facebook, Instagram, as well TikTok. We got our
We got
Twitter.
Twitter.
We got our Twitch.
Everything.
We are working our way to getting that Twitch to where we want it to be.
getting there.
Yeah. So our main one will eventually be activated. Don't worry, guys. We're getting there.
We're getting there.
It's just a slow progress, but make sure to definitely keep watching and make sure to like and tell your friends about us. Yeah.
YouTube.
Well, they already.
Like,
Yeah.
follow, subscribe,
Yeah,
all the
there you
basic
go.
stuff. You've seen it before. We're nothing new on YouTube.
Audio, Spotify, and make sure if you
Yeah,
can buy us
absolutely.
coffee as well.
But I mean, hope you've enjoyed this Fireside podcast. We hope to do so much more in real life stuff. Eventually, we're gonna try to coordinate schedules way ahead of time. I think we've been doing a really poor job coordinating, so we just need to really get ahead of it. So definitely, subscribe. We're on our way to 100. We just hit 70. Super awesome. It's been a year. Slow progress, but awesome progress
Still
nonetheless
going at it.
for the time that we've been putting into it. So, ton of ideas, ton of stuff we want to do. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this in real life podcast,
Thanks for
Fireside
watching.
chat, and we'll catch you next time.
Go to the
See you
boys
later.
out.
See ya.